Voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it. Great to be with you on a Monday. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, and plenty to get to today. Jeff Smith will join us, longtime Husker assistant and Hall of Fame high school basketball coach. Get his take on some of the latest with Nebraska basketball as they're heavy on the trails. Some good gets for Coach Hoiberg and company. We'll focus quite a bit on football today. It is spring football week, the spring game Saturday, and we are out and about much of this week. We invite you down to the Single Barrel, quarter of 9th and P, Thursday, 4 to 6, a road show with Hail Varsity Radio in Lincoln. We are at the Hail Varsity Club Friday in front of the Pipeline event, Hail Varsity Club in La Vista. You've got the 5 great offensive linemen from 94. They are there for an event 6 to 9. We humbly lead in 4 to 6 at the Hail Varsity Club Friday. Then back inside the Graduate at the Single Barrel for the spring football pregame show. That is from 11 to 1. I want to see you down and out at any of the events you can make in Lincoln or in Omaha. Super excited to be on the road at the Hail Varsity Club in front of the Pipeline event. That's going to be awesome. HailVarsityClub.com is where you can log on, find out more. That is the business. The family truckster is all packed and ready to go. But Elijah, pretty good stuff, good reviews for the scrimmage that happened on Saturday. We'll get there in hour 2. It's our Blackshirt Hour. Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. Coach McBride on Monday with Charlie. He'll join us. Jay Moore, his thoughts on the upcoming scrimmage and spring game Saturday. Numbers to get in, 489-1240, 489-1240, or can log on and watch the show. Hail Varsity Facebook page. I should say the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, beg your pardon. YouTube channels where you can stream us. Hail Varsity Radio, Twitter at HVarsity Radio, KFOR Facebook and Twitter. And wherever you hear us, can stream the great radio stations that do carry Hail Varsity. Herbie. Launched at 10 a.m.
I thought you were trying to come up with some new nickname for me. That makes more sense.
Little bit of a tease. Really good video. Some narrative by Trev Alberts. And the Herbie unveil will be all good. A throwback logo to the Herbie of the 90s and before, the blonde Herbie, the heavier Herbie, the overalled Herbie. Do you like it? Do you care? And I think it's important from a symbolism standpoint. The old Herbie looks like he's undefeated in bar fights to me. All right. Corn cob in pocket and all. Herbie's got his sleeves rolled up. The old Herbie does. The old Herbie looks like he's worked a 12-hour day or 7 consecutively. And it's a good logo, reminder, mindset, right? Nebraska football now is going to be all about work and toughness and kind of embracing the suck, as Jay Moore likes to say, grinding and finding a way to outwork your opponent, right? That's what this old Herbie means to me. Why not go back to the past? I don't know. I think the last thing I got with Herbie on it was a gift from Coach Manning, and it was one of the Husker wrestling T-shirts. So Herbie's all good.
I mean, the main thing I like about it is they went sports specific with it. Is you have Herbie holding a bowling ball, holding a golf club, in a wrestling singlet. Like, you got the whole gambit of sports. I like that you're personalizing it for each sport. Herbie is no longer just a symbol of football. It's a symbol for the university and the university athletic department. That's what I love. With that being said, the changes are so minor. Like, the N got a little smaller on the chest. The hat looks a little bit more like an actual hat now. That, like, cool. Like we've returned back to what Nebraska should be. Nebraska should have that Herbie Husker logo. Thank you, Trev. Now let's see what the actual in-costume mascot looks like. Like, that's going to be more important.
It's not the Abercrombie and Fitch Herbie, from
Yes.
20 years ago, where he had the red dye, he had the club shirt going, right? He still had the muscles, but you went from overall Herbie to club Herbie. And now you're back to overall Herbie.
You went from northwest corner of the stadium Herbie to Champions Club Herbie, heading right back to northwest corner now.
Wow. You went there, did you?
The type of person that hangs out in the North Bottoms tailgating, or the person that hangs out in the Champions
Again,
Club?
give me the Herbie that is undefeated in bar fights, because I seem to think that will represent being good on the lines of scrimmage.
And Brian chimes in here as an older and fatter farmer. Nice to see they put a beer belly back on Herbie. That is great.
Like it, Brian. Hey, you know what? It's just for insulation. It's all good. As we get older, we get a front porch, and there it is. Let's talk about the scrimmage on Saturday. And I did not sneak in. I did not dress up as a tree to blend in. Kidding. But just from some reports, well, the defense had a good day. That from Coach Rule. We'll hear from Matt Rule in just a moment on how the scrimmage went. But it sounds like there's a boatload of situational football thrown at this team to simulate end-of-moment reality that is very true in Big Ten games, right? You're going to get down to a 4-minute drill. You've got to hold on to a lead, whether it's 3 points or a touchdown, and you're going to have to figure out ways to do that by grounding out some first down on 4-minute drill possessions where you find ways to get a couple of first downs, you bleed the clock. And are you the stronger football team physically still at the end of the ball game versus the beginning of the ball game? Can you stay tough for 4 quarters? And it sounds like Jeff Sims continues to do some pretty impressive things with his, not just gifts athletically and his size at 6'4", but he's able to keep plays alive and make some plays. I think Marcus Washington had a good day, couple of touchdowns for him. Nice connection brewing with Sims and Washington. You had Stephon Wynn, couple of sacks, and was a bit of a havoc wrecker on the defensive line, which is good. But Elijah, this team has been in this situation time and time again. It's about not panicking and being able to go execute. Easier said than done. And even if you're a good football team, you're not going to win them all. You will fail. It just happens. It's happened to Ohio State. It's happened to Michigan State when they were good. Michigan, I mean, no one's impervious to that letdown in the fourth quarter. And a lot of it, in my opinion, is because of how rugged the schedule typically is. You're not going to have a week off in the Big Ten. I mean, I know Northwestern's been bad. I know Nebraska's been down, but Iowa and Minnesota have not won a lot of ball games against the big dogs in the East, we'll just say. But man, they give them hell for 3.5 quarters. Sometimes they just don't have the horses to get over, or they will pull off one of those wins, but you'll stub your toe somewhere else along the road against a new Illinois and Coach Bielema, or Minnesota's nothing ever to sneeze at. You look at some of the athletes and talent that a Penn State has. I mean, your schedules a lot of times are just stacked, and your break is not even a break because of how explosive a Maryland is, right? Mm-hmm. Look at their skill talent and how they've been playing offense here the last couple of years. And then you get into the Big Ten West while it still exists, top to bottom, as bad as Northwestern was last year. They gave a lot of teams fits, no pun intended, going into that fourth quarter. They wouldn't always win them. So Nebraska's
they didn't win any besides Nebraska, actually,
right? So
for being specific,
but Nebraska, to their point, found a way to be the tougher team and salt away a tight ball game that became tight. That's a lot of Big Ten football as well. You jump up on somebody doesn't mean you're always going to cruise. Iowa came back furiously in that fourth quarter. So Nebraska held on and celebrated, much deserved, a little bit of an exhale after X number of years of all those tight losses that Nebraska was unable to salt a ball game away. So I like the mission here of Rule and this staff continuing to say, look, we're going to keep putting you in stressful situations. So you're used to it, and you just carry that, hopefully, from the practice field to Saturdays come fall.
And correct me if I'm wrong here as we get back into that scrimmage from Saturday. Nebraska, in their 4 wins last season, I believe 3 of those games they won the turnover margin. They were even in 1.
In 3 of them, they were tied or down
in turnover margin.
Yes, but I'm specifically thinking of the Rutgers game and then the Indiana game. They were tied going into the fourth quarter. They were down going into Rutgers. That was just a rock fight in Piscataway. And then they were up and then held on.
Yes.
Against Iowa. So 2 out of the 3, they were tied or down in that fourth quarter.
But you end up coming back, winning the football game. And I don't think you lost. You ended up losing the turnover margin in any of those games. I think
you were at least even.
At least even. And that's why you get the reports from Saturday's scrimmage that offense is a little sloppy with the football, ball ended up on the ground a little bit, and that initially sets off warning bells. But I'd like to throw a little cold water onto that fire because of what we heard from Tony White last week. And that was that, this week we haven't been doing install. We got our stuff installed. We want these guys playing fast. We want them playing free. And you always hear that coming out of NFL training camp. You get into preseason. Well, the defense is ahead of the offense. It's not going to be any different with the coaching change here at Nebraska. That Husker offense has a lot more to install to get to a point of being a competent offense than the defense has to install. Whenever I heard last week, we're not installing. We want these guys to be playing fast. The defense got a whole week last week, except maybe that Monday practice or 2, whatever. Doesn't matter. Regardless, that defense had a couple of practices before that scrimmage where they were able to not learn anything new, just work on what they've already installed, start playing fast, start playing free, thinking less. So then you hear that the defense comes out and does better in the scrimmage on Saturday in the offense. That should be expected. The offense is still going to be putting stuff in. They're going to be probably putting stuff in up until August 29th, whenever you head off to Minnesota. That's the way it's going to be with an offense. This defense, their mission is start playing fast and free. Sounds like they did that on Saturday, and I'm not saying it's all negatives from the offense. The offense had some positives, but
the negatives were the turnovers, and the negative for the defense was an untimed down where somebody threw a punch with a goal line situation. It was an untimed down. Sims hit Washington for the win. So the body of work, the defense won, but the offense was able to walk off.
And I guarantee that leaves the coaching staff feeling happy. They've been around the block. They understand that the defense is probably going to start being able to play faster and freer than this offense earlier on. I would even go as far as to say that we in the media and fans may be overreacting to this a little bit. That's why I wanted to throw some cold water onto it. And you know what? If the defense comes out in the spring game and dominates as well, I'm really not going to feel that bad about it simply because of what I've already laid out. That's typical in football. And if this coaching staff, which we know they have a lot of experience combined as a coaching staff, they know that that's how it's most likely going to be. Now, obviously, you don't want that. You want that offense playing at a high level, but they're going to take a longer amount of time to come along than this defense. So I say maybe hold your judgment on some of those things until a little bit later, so we get into fall camp. That's whenever warning bells start going off if we still get reports out the defense is dominating the offense.
Well, you just want to see guys take care of the football. You want to see sound tackling. You want to see some big plays. And the defense owed the offense one from the previous scrimmage. Let's hear from Coach Rule. What got done on Saturday? Here's the Husker head man.
We got a lot done. It was significantly improved by the defense. Disappointed. We put the ball on the ground too much offensively and special teams wise. As you install sometimes and put new plays in, guys start to focus on the plays and not the details and the fundamentals, which is kind of my job. Really happy to get out there and scrimmage in that weather. I told the guys on offense, because they're in white, I said, hey, you guys, in your mind, you're at Michigan State late in the year and it's cold. On defense, I told the guys, like, hey, you're playing Iowa at home day after Thanksgiving. So, I'm always trying to cast a vision for, everyone kept asking me if we're going to go inside. We're going to go inside. I said, well, if lightning hits, but other than that, we're going to be outside. That's where we play. I was really happy with their demeanor, the way they attacked it, but just didn't love the fact that the offense put the ball on the ground too many times. A couple times the quarterbacks, a couple times the running backs. Happy that the defense knocked the ball out, though. Special teams, we got some work done. We still have a lot of work to do special teams wise to get to where we want to be. Had some explosive plays on offense and had some good plays down in the red zone. But overall, I thought the defense was better today than the offense, and the defense was better than it had been the first time, which was good. Our guys on defense are really settling into the system.
Real quick from Coach Rule, how is the team progressing? How's this journey been here this first spring?
I think we're further ahead than I thought we would be. You're definitely further ahead. What I would say to you, Mitch, is like, again, it's the same thing. Everyone understand, like, if everything's important, nothing's important, right? So you make an emphasis early on ball security and on taking the ball away, and everyone's doing it at a high level. And then as coaches, you watch the tape and this guy's taking this wrong step. You keep correcting all these little things, and you kind of sometimes forget the big things. And so the things that we say really matter. We won't win at the level we want to win if we turn the ball over, and we will win if we don't turn the ball over, and the vice versa on defense. So for this to be scrimmage 2, disappointed again on the offense to fumble the ball. Interceptions are part of the game, but fumbles are controllable. And so a lot of people don't have their quarterbacks live in scrimmages, so the quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't get hit and fumble. So at least we're getting that work done now. But I wouldn't say it's a major thing, just one of my observations for the day.
So we'll have a little bit more from Matt Rule. Really interesting story as well from Ivan Manziel with On 3 now, longtime senior writer with ESPN. Talked about Trev and that process of resurrecting Nebraska. So another national guy in Ivan taking a look at the Big Red. Jeff Smith will join us next. Next hour, the Blackshirt Hour. It's Hail Varsity on a Monday presented by Currency.
Hail Varsity is a must-have for true Husker fans. Get a monthly magazine that'll make checking the mail fun again. Daily analysis and breaking news, including the inside scoop on recruiting on HailVarsity.com. And every June, you'll get the Nebraska Football Yearbook, a season preview completely dedicated to Nebraska football that's as comprehensive as national previews. Use that promo code AR for monthly subscriptions, that yearly promo code DB at HailVarsity.com.
Hail Varsity Club in La Vista is the perfect place to go for lunch every day. Dine in at the club and get our express lunch special for just $10. It's the all-beef Hail Varsity burger, fries, and a fountain drink delivered to your table in under 15 minutes. Hail Varsity Club in La Vista for lunch every day. And the perfect spot to watch all the big games. Reserve your table today and check out the events we've got coming up at HailVarsityClub.com. In La Vista, right next to Cabela's. Hail Varsity Club.
I want my money! I want my money!
I want my money and I want it now.
Hear the word? Win $1,000 cash. KFOR's inflation deflation program is here. Trust us, it's not like we're the government. We'll get you a winning word each weekday hour from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. 8 chances to win free money. So put a dent in all those increased costs we're paying with inflation deflation from KFOR.
Nebraskans love the great outdoors. Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Hershey. We bring you the inside scoop with pros from the Nebraska Game and Park
on Outdoor Nebraska every Saturday morning at 9:45 here on KFOR 1240 AM
and 101.5 FM.
Get the latest updates on local weather conditions, warnings, and watches. Text WARNING to 402-258-2800 to sign up for mobile alerts via text message from KFOR Mobile Weather Alerts powered by Lincoln Electric System. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Property taxes rising. Crime skyrocketing. Mayor Baird failed Lincoln.
Taxes have raised dramatically.
My property taxes have increased $250 a year.
I can't even afford a new apartment now.
They had 11 homicides in Lincoln last year, which has never happened before.
Lincoln has a better choice. Suzanne Geist.
Senator Geist has made safety her priority.
Suzanne Geist will lower property taxes.
As mayor, I'll make Lincoln safer and more affordable for everyone.
Suzanne Geist for mayor. Paid for by Suzanne Geist for mayor.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for spending time at Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency. Talk a little hoops. And welcome in Hall of Fame coach, longtime Nebraska assistant Jeff Smith with us. Coach, should we take you away from the tee box? Thanks for a few minutes.
No, I do a little marshaling at a certain course, and so we're just out watching right now. But man, is it beautiful out! I'm going to have to hit some balls later for sure.
It is awesome. Get in the car, windows are down, no wind for the first time, and it feels like 100 years. And I'm sure all the golfers are out, sneaking out. Let's go have a business meeting on the 9th green, and enjoying the weather. So excited to spend a few minutes with you. As you look at Coach Hoiberg here, and I know this next weekend is all about spring football, but it's also about getting some of the potential either portal kids or, targets for future classes for Hoiberg to experience, Nebraska and the spring game is part of that. Coach, what do you think of Hoiberg and his staff's efforts here right now as we're still in recruiting season and in portal acquisition season?
Yeah, it feels like they now are recruiting to their plan and to their where they were successful. And I think the rink masked post that they got 6'9", 240 from that was all Missouri Valley at Bradley. I did a little research on him actually. Gary Bargan's son, Mike Bargan, who played at Lincoln East, and he's an assistant at Bradley. So I gave Gary a text, and he texted back, and he said, he's already graduated with a degree in chemistry and just really brilliant young guy from the Netherlands. And he's very confident that he can be successful in the Big Ten. One-on-one in the post, he's really good. He shoots the ball a little bit better than what we've had from the post position. Pretty good passer. So I think he kind of fills that spot that Walker played. Not sure he'll be quite the passer, but they're recruiting to their system that they were successful with, and I think that's a good start with him. And then Bryce Williams, anybody can shoot 40% from three like he did for Charlotte. That's a good sign. It also fits with their success with Juwan Gary and Bandamel, where they're guys that were successful at the level, pretty good level already, and from winning programs and pretty good kids, it sounds like. So those two, that's a good start.
It's Coach Jeff Smith with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Coach, I want to get your take on the international aspect of rink mass, because it's not the first time Nebraska's gone international. And you see how the international players are changing the game in the NBA. The top players in the league, Jokic, Doncic, Antetokounmpo, a lot of these guys are coming from overseas. We've seen Nebraska hit that pipeline with a guy like Casey, now get rink massed out of the Netherlands. And some people forget Sam Griesel actually played for the German under-19 national team. So a bit of an international connection there. Do you think that could be a pipeline that Nebraska could exploit in order to give themselves a leg up on some of their competition, some of the teams that are staying in the continental U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's something you definitely have to continually look at and recruit to. I went to an Eastern Washington, Idaho game earlier this year, and there was a young man from London, from around London that they go to the academies. They just spend a lot of time around the game and working on fundamentals. And I'm afraid here in the States, we're getting away from fundamentals and playing all games on the AAU circuit. But I think, in some of those situations, their basketball clubs overseas, they're spending a ton of time on fundamentals, and then they add some of the size and ability like Jokic brings and guys like that. And you're ending up with some really good players. But for us older people, Richard Van Polgees from the Netherlands was a pretty good player for us, pretty strong. And this kid kind of looks like him body-wise, but he looks like he has a little more skill than Richard did.
How was Poltergeist from three?
I don't think we know. I don't think he took any. Maybe a couple in practice, but I don't remember him making any. So Danny was probably like, if you can't make one in practice, you're never shooting him in a game.
I could just see Coach Nee's glare in my mind's eye here with Poltergeist launching a three.
That wasn't the day of stretch fives back then.
No, it wasn't.
King didn't get to shoot any.
I remember when he came in. I was at the Nebraska game. The era of Poltergeist was put upon us. I loved watching that guy, man. He just smoked people down low.
He did. He set great screens. If it would have been the era of on balls, he would have been even more valuable. But I'm telling you, he was one of the greatest guys I've coached. Just an excellent young man, a great student. Just had a big heart and cared about people. He was very enjoyable to coach. We happened to go on a foreign trip after he graduated, and we got to see him over there back home, and it was really nice to see him. But he was a good man besides a good basketball player.
The story I love about Polgeest was rumor had it is he would go study, but he would go study at the Old Country Buffet on O Street. and he'd pay his $8 or whatever it was for the all you can eat buffet. And instead of hammering buffet till he couldn't walk anymore, he'd go into a booth and start studying, and sometimes he'd fall asleep.
Well, he didn't have an ounce of fat on his body.
No, he
was cut, and he was cut back in the day, and he passed out of our study table requirement pretty early. You come in with a 4.0 first semester, you get out of study table requirements most of the time, and he was out pretty early. So I didn't ever have to go check on him at the Old Country Buffet.
I like that. A couple of recruits here. Nebraska getting a commitment for 2024. Nick Janowoski out of Wisconsin, Milwaukee region, 4-star guard coach for 2024, 6'3" lefty. And Nebraska not only beating Wisconsin for him, but also some other prominent names, Marquette and Iowa State, USC, just to name a few. But it sounds like the connection was really high with Coach Hoiberg and Coach Lenzer, not only from a development standpoint, but Janowoski says that this team and this style fit my game perfect. Nice get for Hoiberg and company.
Yeah, there's certain kids I think want to play in this 5-out system, and they know what Coach Hoiberg has done as a coach with individual players and how they've prepared them to have a chance to play professionally. But he looks like, just watching a little film, like a very complete all-around player, averaging 23 a game, 6.5 rebounds, and almost 5 assists. So another complete player. I love lefty shooters. So they're really trying to load up on those guys that are in that 40% shooting range, so they can spread the floor and use that high pick and roll and those slip screens, and then kick it anytime somebody tries to help from the corners. So essentially you can be playing 3-on-3 in the middle of the floor if you can't leave those guys in the corners, and then if you do, those guys will make them pay. So hopefully he's another player that can do that. And I think you can't ignore the good high school kids that you need to kind of build around and hopefully have some stability from, even though with this portal, you never know, but you've got to try to get those good high school kids that hopefully you can have around for 3 or 4 years.
It's Coach Jeff Smith with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Coach, your thoughts on Hunter Salas, that recruitment heating up, Nebraska firmly in the mix there. What would that mean? Not only for Nebraska basketball, but for this program moving forward, if Nebraska were to get Hunter Salas back in the transfer portal, beating the likes of some really good schools that are in for him, trying to get his talents to wherever they are.
Yeah, I felt even Sam Griesel, even coming back with Sam, was really kind of a good PR move to show kids in the state that we're willing to give you the ball and give you responsibility and let you lead. And they let Sam lead, and I think Hunter could come in and do the same thing. And he's a much bigger name than Sam Griesel was out of high school. I think this would be a really big get PR-wise with kids in the state, and especially the metro area. And you've got some young guys that are probably watching this pretty close, and you might even have some other kids come back that played with him. And that could be a factor that other kids transfer back. And I just think, I think he had to learn to play defense consistently before he played at Gonzaga. I think he did that. Now, heck, they're calling him a stopper. I think he's got offensive skills. I think his three-point shooting could improve a little bit, but maybe that's a perfect fit for something Fred could help him with too. I really think this is a big recruit, and I think it's an important recruit. I'm sure Nebraska's pulling out all stops. But if they could get him and maybe Latrell Wrightsell Jr. along with him and have a couple guards from Nebraska, I think that could be really, really big thing for the program. And I am all in on Nebraska kids playing at Nebraska. We had it when I was there, and I thought it was important. I think it's even more important now because we saw the impact that Sam had with his caring of the program, his wanting to be there, I think is important for our program right now. And because I think it just spreads throughout the team. I think when Sam showed that, the other guys saw what it meant to him, and they play hard, for Sam and for Nebraska because Sam's doing it. And I think that could happen with Salas and some of these other guys possibly.
Coach, before we get you out, Nebraska able to lock in a visit with 6'8", 5-star Koa Pete, April 23rd and 24th. His team's going to be playing in the metro region. Then he'll make a trip down to check in. Of course, Todd Pete is his older brother. Andres Pete, also part of the family, but as a sophomore was the Gatorade Player of the Year. 6'8", the whole world wants him. Nebraska's going to get a chance to get in front of him.
And you get him on campus, you got a chance. You get him in this place, you get him to see facilities. You understand our fan base. You got a chance. If you don't get him on campus, you never have a chance. But I think you get in Coach Hoiberg's office, and I think he's really good at showing film of how guys can fit in and what guys in a similar position have done at Iowa State and Nebraska. And you give yourself a chance. And the other guy that intrigues me a little bit, I think he was here this last weekend, is the McCollum kid, just because he's a point guard. And I think we have a lot of combo guards. I think Sam Griesel was a combo guard. But I think McCollum is more of a pure point that they have, and maybe along with Reitzel. I hope they get one of those guys for a pure point guard. But boy, those 6'8" guys that have that kind of skill are somebody that everybody wants, and they're hard to get, but get them on campus and you got a chance.
And Schmidt, really quick here, just to interject, how about that Pete family in terms of athleticism? Andres, I mean, I remember the recruitment saga. He was a 5-star down to Nebraska and Stanford.
And he had a great career with Stanford and then Pittsburgh.
I think that was back in 2012 or 2013, that recruitment. That was a big deal, and he went and played in the NFL. Now his little brother, a 5-star basketball player. Man, the Pete family's doing something right.
No, they are. They are for sure. And I'll take a kid that averaged 20 as a sophomore and helped with back-to-back state titles already. Coach, hit them far and straight. Make sure you dust off the clubs for the next couple of days and enjoy the weather. Thanks for giving us a few minutes to talk some basketball.
Yeah, we'll have to talk some NBA playoffs next time, Chris.
We will. We will get that done. We'll get you locked in for it. Jeff Smith with us. Coach, take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Jeff Smith with us, Hall of Fame coach, longtime assistant at Nebraska, loves his Big Red, and great insight there on Salas, some of the other portal options, and the work Fred and company are doing with some of the 2024-2025 prospects. Some more spring football thoughts. Charlie McBride, 25 minutes away. It's Hail Varsity, presented by Currency.
It's KFOR inflation deflation time. Your chance to win $1,000 is right now. Enter this hour's winning word at KFORnow.com, and you could be our next winner.
This hour's word is nest. That's nest. N-E-S-T, nest.
Enter this hour's word at KFORnow.com, and you could be on your way to winning $1,000 from KFOR. KFOR has a chance at some free money for Mom. It's $2,000.
I could use some extra cash.
To win, just sign up daily at KFORnow.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-658-4848. 800-658-4848. That's 800-658-4848.
That's the sound of another car being stolen in Lincoln. Auto thefts in Lincoln have doubled since Lyrian Gaylor Baird took office. Doubled. 856 cars stolen in just 1 year. And worse, another homicide victim in Lincoln. Homicides have doubled during Mayor Gaylor Baird's term. Doubled. Thefts and vandalism on the rise all over the city. Vandalism up 68%. And what have our leaders done to fix it? Well, Mayor Gaylor Baird went and recruited a police chief from San Francisco. The San Francisco approach to crime is not what we need. Lincoln is less safe under Mayor Gaylor Baird. Call Mayor Leary and Gaylor Baird at 402-441-7511. Tell the mayor to stop being soft on crime. Paid for by Northwind.
Locked in for Tuesday with KFOR, Schmidt and Carroll.
Will Fox and Dominion come to a financial
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
You know, it's sweet, man. You see folks like Tim Bob just roll by and say, "What's up?"
Love Tim Bob.
Tim Bob's a man. Love doing ball with him on football Fridays, high school football. It's all good. Brandon Baker, all over Twitter, 5-star offensive tackle, modern day, just letting Big Red Husker Nation know he is going to be back for the spring game. He is a monster target for Nebraska. Going to be a good weekend for the Big Red. A lot of in-state talent that you're hoping to get in front and center of. And you look at some of the talents with Davon Hall and McMorris, of course, two just studs from Bell West. Caleb Bennings, incredible, such a talented two-way player. Caleb Pryform, of course, offensive lineman Carter Nelson, going to be back in town. The stud tight end from Ainsworth. So you've had your I shouldn't even say international, but your national recruits that have seen Nebraska, and a lot of them came in the 25th of March. A lot of those in-state kids, and it's a focal point for Rule. I was going to say it's a rule. I didn't mean to do that, but they are going to try and get as many high-caliber in-state kids to want to be a Nebraska football player again. That's big time, but it is absolutely easier said than done in today's day and age of college football.
And you mistakenly said international students, but it just had like a thought bubble in my own mind with what we were just talking about with Coach Smith, hitting that international pipeline for basketball, maybe a little bit under-recruited, and a lot of great basketball programs overseas that have a lot of kids that, you know what, they could be playing in Division I high-level basketball if they were born in the United States, but they weren't. You wonder, can Nebraska go there? Does football start doing the same thing as time goes on, too, as football grows in popularity in England? I know there's a couple of football academies in the
Coach
UK.
Leach always did international academies. He did Germany. He did New Zealand. He did France. He did as many international football, American football academies. He's trying to find that sneaky 6'9", 400-pound lineman like Minnesota had not that long ago.
And I know there was a guy on Michigan's roster last year, defensive end. I think he went down with an injury at some point last season, but he grew up as a mogul skier in France, so he just had like this crazy lower body flexibility. So
no knee issues ever.
So they threw him in at like defensive end because his bend was just ridiculous, and he was super strong and fast. And I know he made the athletics list of the top. They put up their top 10 freaks every single year in terms of freak athletes, and he made the list last year. And it's another guy that I don't think Michigan had too much work to do on the recruiting trail with a kid like that. Whenever you go over there, and
who else is after you? What do you mean?
Yeah,
you're it, man. You're it. But interesting article here on resurrecting Nebraska, Trev's task, and it was done by Ivan Manzel of On3, longtime ESPN college football aficionado, tremendous writer. And he highlighted what you're trying to stop the current. And the current has been, you're just drifting away from not only notoriety, but being a team that is a contender. We talked a little bit about this in similar fashion to what Dennis Dodd wrote about last week. We hit that on the weekend edition, but the discussion point has been all about physicality by Trev Alberts. That's a talking point and an emphasis. You're good at what you emphasize is what coaches say. That's an emphasis by Coach Rule. And Nebraska, since they popped Bo, is 38-57 in the regular season. That is no good completely, and you're trying to reverse that trend. But these couple of lines in the story really hit home, and in this story, Manziel calls Nebraska one of the many trust fund babies in the Big Ten, where you're collecting all the checks, but you have done very little to contribute to the family business. And that is a slap. And Jim Delaney had even said it at some point before he retired, when he was asked point blank, and he didn't get into super detail. But hey, the question went like this: is Nebraska kind of pulling their weight? And the response comment, I'm paraphrasing, but Nebraska needs to get back to being Nebraska. What has Nebraska contributed to the Big Ten? Great fan base, incredible brand, but a brand that is remembered about the better times versus the current times. And Nebraska has not been bowling. What Nebraska brings is that brand to a night ball game, whether it's on BTN or it's a big noon kickoff or it's a 7 o'clock. I mean, Nebraska, Colorado, Rule, Dion, the Nebraska brand, Colorado, that thing's going to be a night game. You would like to think for Saturday, that second week of September. And that's what they've contributed. Early on in the Big Ten, they went to a conference championship game. They've won 9 or 10 ball games. They've competed hard against the SEC and split against Georgia in bowl matchups, but it's not been a New Year's Day 6. So, and then you've just kind of been adrift. And to resurrect Nebraska is a process that I think Rule and Trev are on the same page with, and this team is on the same page about doing it daily and understanding that it's going to take daily work, and you're going to have to be a team that is one that does the actions versus speaks the words.
But at the same time, the back to the heart of Manziel's point here, Nebraska not putting in the work for their checks. Nebraska puts in the work from a TV viewership.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing that Nebraska still contributes, is their brand.
And is that not the most important?
That's why you got them.
In terms of money, I mean, Nebraska, Michigan last year, a blowout football game in which, I mean, Michigan was a 20-something point favorite in that football game.
27.5.
It was still the third most viewed football game
because
of the weekend.
Because it was a helmet game.
I mean, it more than tripled the viewership of Wisconsin, Iowa. It beat out Washington and Oregon, which was a big matchup with a lot of implications. Beat out LSU and Arkansas that week. It beat out Georgia and Mississippi State. It beat out Notre Dame versus Navy, which I know Navy last year wasn't what they used to be, but that's still a classic matchup.
Still a classic Service Academy versus the Irish game.
Nebraska almost doubled the viewership on that game. So despite the fact that Nebraska was terrible and they were going to get killed by Michigan, they're still pulling in almost 4 million viewers for that game at 11 a.m. It's one thing to say Nebraska isn't pulling the weight that was expected. It's another thing to say Nebraska isn't pulling their weight.
On the field, they're not. And I think a lot of folks know that.
But what matters more in the Big Ten leadership's eyes? Is it winning football games, or is it the dollars and cents?
Well, the dollars and cents, but what's the shelf life of the brand? It's been good enough for 50 years that it still has some warranty to it. All right. But you can't keep going this route of going 3-9, because pretty soon, guys your age that may not have been alive during the glory years still know about the glory years. You shift the demo, it's to Junior, my kid, who's 16, and he kind of remembers some good teams, but never any great teams. So they're doing their job with the eyeballs, but they got to do their job on the field, and Trev and company know that. We'll wind down hour one on the way.
As our mayor, Lyrian Gaylor-Baird is working hard to make Lincoln an even better place to call home. Lyrian is adding more police officers every single year to keep our neighborhoods safe, investing over $200 million in roads to keep us moving, supporting small businesses, and expanding job training programs to boost our local economy. Mayor Lyrian Gaylor-Baird is on the job for us, not Senator Suzanne Geist. In 2021, she voted in the legislature to give tax breaks to her wealthy corporate donors while supporting new taxes on essentials like groceries, medicine, and car repairs. The choice is clear. Lyrian Gaylor-Baird is endorsed by Lincoln firefighters and community leaders we trust, like former police chief Tom Cassidy. Join them to vote for Lyrian Gaylor-Baird for Lincoln Mayor.
I'm Mayor Lyrian Gaylor-Baird. I'm asking for your vote so that together we can keep making Lincoln an even better place to call home. Please remember to vote on or before May 2nd.
Paid for by Lyrian for Lincoln Mayor.
Nominations for the Serve Nebraska Step Forward Awards are now open. Volunteers are making Nebraska communities stronger every day. Help us celebrate their hard work by nominating the volunteers in your life. The Step Forward Awards are the most prestigious awards for volunteerism in the state, and honorees are hand-selected by Nebraska's governor. Learn more about the Step Forward Awards and submit a nomination by June 1st at serve.nebraska.gov. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
At Sherman, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Sherman up to south on the party, this is supposed to roll it back, everybody. Sherman's irresistibly soft and heavy nice. Our grip is always stopped, it's our party line. Please say what Shakespeare thought. Everybody wanna touch the sky.
Sherman Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Sherman.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
About 10 minutes away, Mr. Blackshirt Charlie McBride will join us a Monday with Charlie, and then we'll spend time with Jay Moore, your Hour 2 Blackshirt Hour. Paul with us on hold. Paul, thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. Go ahead.
Thanks, guys. As to the relevance of Nebraska to the Big Ten, have we been pulling our weight? Heck no, not on the field. And yes, we get the viewership on the TV, which is great, which shows just how faithful the fan base has been. The problem that you're facing is that unless this gets turned around, I've got friends and relatives that have season tickets that are saying, hey, I can't do it anymore. Can't be punting up that much money to go watch the product on the field. The great news, though, is that we are turning it around. We will be going to a bowl this year. And I can only say one thing. Go Big Red!
Paul, gotta love it, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Appreciate the optimism. Yeah, you can feel good about going to a bowl. Do you have physical in-hand proof? No. Is it going to be a fight with a new system, a new coach, new players, and buy-in? Yeah. I mean, even though the buy-in sounds like Elijah, it's happening because it is new. And why not give this dude a shot? He's been pretty good where he's been in college. So you get a chance, though, to marry what was working for a lot of years. You were drawing the eyeballs because you were so good, and you weren't just pulling your weight. You were pulling everybody else's weight a lot of times in the Big Ten, you and Oklahoma.
Well, and think about it with last year, like Matt Rule's mission, which we've talked about plenty. Nebraska wasn't too far off from a bowl game. Look at the Wisconsin game.
Say that the last 6 years.
But this, like last year in particular, the Wisconsin game and the Minnesota game, both games that you had leads, both games that Matt Rule has said, like, you know what, when I'm around here, we're going to pound the rock. We're going to win those football games. If I'm able to get it going how I want to get it going, you win those games, you're 6-6. And that doesn't even account for the fact of, you know what, the
international incident.
International incident is one of them. Georgia Southern's another one of them. I mean, like,
you can go find 4 wins the last 5 years.
That's true. That's true. And the question is going to be, can Matt Rule be the guy who gets this team playing in the right way? But from a talent point of view, Nebraska's not that far off. From like a bowl game is the lowest possible bar for a place like Nebraska. And with the amount of talent that they bring in, a bowl game should not be as difficult as it's been made to appear over the past couple of years. Now, is that me saying that Matt Rule is going to make this look easy? No, it's clearly a lot of hurdles that any Nebraska coach has to overcome being here. And we've seen that over the past couple of seasons. But with that being said, it shouldn't be as hard as some of these coaches who make millions and millions and millions of dollars seem to make it look. But if there's any consolation, Matt Rule puts the work in. He puts the work in, he earns his contract, and he's shown it before that he has the ability to do that.
Response as Brian kicked us off in the stream. Can watch the show, Hail Varsity YouTube, the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter handle at HVarsity Radio. Catch Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, Coffee and Cream. Weekdays, 7 to 10 on Hail Varsity Radio. We're on 4 to 6, but female KC Royals fan says, since when did Herbie have a beer belly? Wouldn't that be more of a corn-fed belly? We can say that a lot of that is pork chop or steak, but I think the old Herbie probably had a Busch Light or 7.
Well, isn't a lot of those beers made with corn? Potato in terms of beer belly and corn-fed belly. They go hand in hand.
Again, the old Herbie is undefeated in bar fights. Reminder to get buckled up, hands on the wheel, eyes in mind. Straight ahead, the driver, one job, that's to drive. A message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride, a Monday with Charlie, next on Hail Varsity.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508. Attorney Joe Cordell.
Divorce forces a father to focus on what's most important, his children. You may no longer be a husband, but you'll always be a dad. In the divorce process, this comes down to 3 key concerns: physical custody, decision-making, as well as financial support. Each of these is important, and it's important that you choose a lawyer that cares as much about these issues as you do.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
When a parent struggles with addiction or dies from a drug overdose, what happens to their children? Far too many end up in foster care, unable to ever return to their birth homes because it's simply not safe. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is fighting the clock so that teens don't age out of foster care, leaving them at a higher risk of addiction and other negative outcomes that can happen to a child without the love and stability of a permanent family. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
This is your station for local news, talk, sports, and weather. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Criminal charges over an alleged foreign police station in America operating right under Uncle Sam's nose.
Federal prosecutors called it outrageous. U.S. Attorney Breon Peace said China secretly established its own police station in New York City and used it to spy on, co-opt, or intimidate Chinese dissidents living in the city and elsewhere.
The defendant's actions under the direction
of the Chinese government are flagrant violations of American sovereignty.
The FBI searched the de facto police station last year. It's believed to be one of as many as 100 such outposts around the world. In a separate case, prosecutors said Chinese security officials spied on Zoom calls, identified targets, and then harassed Chinese dissidents. Aaron Katursky, ABC News.
Confirming that another ISIS leader was killed after the U.S. learned of a plot to kidnap officials abroad. U.S. Military Central Command killed in a helicopter raid in northern Syria. Still insisting on tying cuts in federal spending with raising the government's debt ceiling, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, echoed by Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell.
President Biden does not get to stick his fingers in his ears and refuse to listen, talk, or negotiate. And the American people know that. The White House needs to stop wasting time and start negotiating with the Speaker of the House.
Supporting the president's position that you can't negotiate if Republicans don't say which cuts they want, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
There's a time to discuss what kind of cuts folks are looking for or taxes they want to raise. It's called the budget. It shouldn't be part of this conversation.
Already announcing a re-election campaign, Long Island, New York Republican Congressman George Santos. His county Republican committee chairman says they won't support him because they want an honest candidate. You're listening to ABC News.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Big stories.
Airman Jack Teixeira, arrested at his Massachusetts home on Thursday, worked as a computer technician.
Immediate updates.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken trying to calm allies.
What I've heard so far, it's not affected our cooperation.
But there is no question a leak like this is damaging, not only revealing secret information, but in some cases the sources and methods used by the intelligence community.
Stay connected and find out what's next. KFOR.
Spring is here. Time to get your yard back in shape. But that's a big job. Let Capital Arborist assist. Capital Arborists can do your tree trimming, pruning, and even tree removal if needed. Their arborists are fully licensed and Nebraska certified with over 40 years of experience. Capital Arborist offers tree removal and trimming for both commercial and residential properties. No job too big. Online at capitalarborist.com, by email at capitalarborist@gmail.com, or call 402-466-0160.
KFOR.
Gmail.com, or call 402-466-0160.
KFOR.
Gmail.com, or call 402-466-0160.
KFOR.
Gmail.com, or call 402
Now, you can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. No payments and no interest for 6 months. This is a big deal. NetSuite by Oracle has never made an offer like this in its 22 years as the leading cloud financial system. 33,000 companies. netsuite.com/radar. netsuite.com/radar.
I want my money! I want my money!
I want my money and I want it now.
Hear the word? Win $1,000 cash. KFOR's inflation deflation program is here. Trust us, it's not like we're the government. We'll get you a winning word each weekday hour from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Thanks for spending time back with you. It's Hour 2. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio and Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel. Reminder, busy road shows this week at the Single Barrel Thursday, 4 to 6 in Lincoln inside the Graduate. You're invited down Thursday to get your spring weekend kicked off. Friday in Omaha at the Hail Varsity Club for the Pipeline event. That event is 6 to 9. Wiegert, Stye, Wilkes, Graham, Dr. Rob Zadiska, all there with their friends from Pipeline Jerky, 6 to 9 at the Hail Varsity Club. Spring game Saturday, 11 to 1 at the Single Barrel, getting you ready for kickoff at Memorial Stadium. We welcome in Mr. Blackshirt, a Monday with Charlie.
One second. I believe Coach Charlie's phone may have died.
Ooh.
That's my my quick thought. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try the backup phone number here, see if we can get some things figured out.
No.
I was talking to him. I was talking to him in the break,
and then the phone went ghost.
Yep. So I'm going to work on that.
It was a zone blitz.
I thought maybe like he hung up on us because he's talking about how it snowed today, and I'm like, maybe he's just in a bad mood.
Brother, I'll say this: like where he's at between Michigan and Minnesota, and the northern part of Michigan, we're talking 8 to 10 inches.
Yeah. He said he's been freezing his tail off today. So.
I'm sure he said tail.
Yeah, you've talked to Charlie a few times, haven't you?
I'm sure Coach said tail. So we are attempting to have the Blackshirt Hour. We'll have Jay Moore coming up in about 20 minutes. Good tweet in, and this came from our old buddy Simba. Simba tweets in, the 34 and 58 cents bow in the regular season almost implies there's been some postseason games. Just one, right? Actually two. You had the bowl game, the 6 and 7 season in 2015. You had the bowl game in 2016, and then it's been no such thing as postseason action for Nebraska. I agree with you, Simba, that Nebraska isn't far from being Minnesota in the eyes of the youths, or the Utes, if you're a My Cousin Vinny fan. Minnesota is kind of quietly, they get their credit because of how physical and good at their identity they are. They get giant linemen, a really good running back or 2 or 3, and they just sledgehammer you. Minnesota is not a bad program to want to be, and then eventually exceed because they're winning 9 or 10 ball games. And guess what? They're good in tough situations. They're pretty decent against Wisconsin. They've been pretty decent against Iowa, not perfect against Iowa. They've gotten a big pelt win against a top 10, 11 win Penn State team. So Fleck, whatever you think of him, and whether your car ran into engine trouble or not driving off of his lot, he's won 9, 10, and 11 ball games quite a few times.
He's won used car salesman of the year.
Hey, he's won Big Ten coach of the year. I do believe.
That's what I'm saying.
We welcome in Charlie McBride, Mr. Blackshirt. Coach, how we doing? Do you have your shovel out?
Oh, I've been. We had a little snow today, but I got just when you called, I've never had it happen before. I got an emergency phone call from a 911, and I don't have a clue what that'd be.
Well,
But
I don't
whatever.
either. You all right? You doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, yeah, it was a call to me, I think.
Well,
I don't know what
They need to enlist your help.
yeah, it's not fourth quarter
Gee.
time yet, bud. Yeah, I know.
The Michigan police is playing in a football game against the fire department, and they need a coach.
Yeah, we're gonna get coach
That's right.
in the headset. So, are you pretty excited for Saturday? Are you excited to see this this kind of culmination of the spring?
Yeah, I always am. I mean, it's you see, I'll tell you what you do. You see some players. You always see 2 or 3 guys that you didn't realize. You better pay more attention to them, and I think with the time they're going through right now, trying to find out, just learn about the players is probably the number one thing they have in preseason, and conveying their program is probably the same thing. It's one of the top priorities, but you have to know what you're dealing with, and so I think the spring game, a lot of times, if it's a real game, you'll find a few things out that you probably didn't know before.
Charlie McBride's with us, Hail Varsity Radio, a Monday with Charlie, and that is so key to know your personnel. And Coach, what was your approach year after year? You guys did such a great job of bringing in talent, but also developing talent, and then having a guy ready when it was his time and his turn, but knowing when it was that time, when they were ready to go.
Well, the thing that we did, we really tried to stay with pretty much of our base stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that being, not a lot of blitzing, not a lot of stuff. That's how you find out who the real players are, where they're just straight football and, there's not a lot of running around as far as, your front seven. They're really playing solid, and they're going over their job, their main part of what the defense is to do. And that was one of the biggest things. I think the footwork, the little things, the hand placements, the footwork, the pursuit angles. There's a lot of things you pick up in the spring in a game itself that you don't get in spring practices. Nowadays, I'd say. Now, when we had 20 days of practice, that was a different thing. It was wide open every day, so you had some ideas. But with only the 15 days plus the new coaching staff, there's a lot of learning to do on both sides of the fence.
It's Coach Charlie McBride with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Coach, you mentioned the fact that if the spring game is a real game, there is some things you can learn. And that's a question right now. We don't even know how much of a game Saturday's spring exhibition will be. So I want to get your thoughts on the biggest issue right now, according to Matt Rule, is that Nebraska is only going to have 12 offensive linemen that are available to play in the spring game. So I want to get your reaction to that and what you would do in that situation. If there's only 12 offensive linemen among 2 teams for a spring game, how would you go about still making that a game?
Well, I think you still play. I mean, you just still play a game. It may be what we did when we got into those situations. You'll find out that maybe in the last quarter, especially, and maybe even a little before that, they just let the clock run. Mm-hmm. And, you get your 15 minutes in fast, but that's the one way that you can stay with the game but get it over with quick. I think you learn most of it in the first half. I remember when we played one game, we had Turner Gill and as a freshman, Milt Tennifer and I always had the white team. So our winning record wasn't real good, but we had Turner, and Tom wanted to switch him over to the other team. And Turner said he didn't want to go over there. And so Milt looked at me, what do we do? He said, well, we're going to stay with Turner. We're going to just tell Tom he doesn't want to go over there. And we ended up winning the game, believe it or not.
That's pretty good. It's
but
pretty
that's
good.
How you find out about some kids, too. You learned a lot about him. he wanted to stick with his guys because that's who he came in with. That's who he knew. And, that happens a lot with young players.
Charlie McBride's joining us. It's Hail Varsity Radio. Coach, a lot was talked about after Saturday's scrimmage about situational football and Coach Rule throwing kind of the kitchen sink at the guys where it is tight in the winding moments of a ball game, trying to simulate that time at home or on the road where you're trying to get a stop or hold on to the lead. And what was your approach defensively and as a team? How did you guys continue to drill that so guys weren't taken by the moment when it got to winning time?
Well, that was kind of a thing we did at Wednesdays in the middle of the week. I know what he's trying to get at. I mean, that's spring ball is usually a situational. You put your players in a situation. For example, to make it in general, you might say, okay, this series we're going to just throw the ball. We want to see the screen and we want to see the check down, and we want to see some things that you want to get on film. And so a lot of times that will go that way offensively, and defensively. Sometimes you'll run certain kinds of blitzes with certain people to find out. You may not know about a couple of guys. You want to maybe backup players. You want to find out about them, and so those kind of situations where you might be third down in a situation where you would blitz, or even a fourth down situation. And field position is also going to be a factor, and that usually is determined by the offensive people.
Charlie McBride is with us here. It's Hail Varsity Radio as we get you all geared up for the spring game 5 days away. Nebraska red-white game, 1 o'clock, Schmidt, correct? Kickoff between the two teams. And Coach, I want to get your thoughts as we learned last week that the Nebraska defense was ramping back the install, not as much install last week. They wanted to get the guys comfortable. They wanted to get them playing fast. And we saw dividends in the scrimmage as the Husker defense apparently outperformed the offense. And I want to get your thoughts on the right mix between if you're installing your defense, getting these guys all the schemes and the concepts that you need while also making sure they're comfortable and how much you would show in a spring game whenever some of these guys are still swimming a little bit in the new schemes.
Now, the first thing you have to understand is the defense early in the fall, early in the spring, the defense will be ahead of the offense. When the offense starts getting their timing down and getting the plays down and getting more plays and getting more things, then you see things start to open up. Now, if you have an experienced team going in spring practice, say, for example, then you have a little, as an offense and defensive coach, you have a little more, leverage one way or the other, and so you have to make some decisions on what you're going to do. You don't want to throw everything out there. And in reality, you really don't want other people to see what you're doing in some cases. I don't know if people send people to watch games or not anymore, but in the past, sometimes way back when we used to go scout spring games, but they were games. They never had them. Nowadays, they could be a practice. If they don't have a lot of linemen, say for example, they might only play a half a game. You don't know that. And that may be what they do. And then the other half, they have situational stuff. But I would think that would be that would be something that the people would know before the game, I think. And not surprise them, because Nebraska is noted to be one of those teams that has a game. And I think that's important to our fans.
Well, there's going to be live hitting, live tackling as we know it, and it's going to be game like, and it's going to be 1v1s. At least that's the hope from Coach Rule. I know it's going to be a big celebration weekend with Coach Solich back. Coach, are you making it back this way, or are you just going to make sure you have it on?
Well, I thought about it, but I'm not going to be able to do it. We just got back from Arizona, and there's so many things. We're finishing up. Actually, today we're finishing up with our taxes and all that stuff. So, it's just been a mess this week, and we have to, when you get older, you have to go to get your hearing aids fixed. And then so Wednesday we have to go get my wife's hearing aids fixed.
No worries.
You just get older, you just start falling apart.
Well, hey, those are vital, man. I know we have them in our family, and to make sure they're working is super important. So no problem there. But about 30 seconds, you've got to be smiling that it's going to be live and they'll be tackling, I'd assume.
Yeah, they're probably going to have spring games. Going to probably be on TV. At certain times during the week on the Big Ten channel, they'll probably have all of them. At some time. So I'll get to see, what's going on.
Yep, it'll be really good, and the tackling will be different from a year ago. Coach, enjoy your week, enjoy the spring game, and we'll talk to you next Monday and get your thoughts. Okay?
Sure. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Have fun this weekend.
You too, bud.
Okay. Bye now.
There he is, Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. A Monday with Charlie. Blackshirt Hour continues. Jay Moore with us. It's Hail Varsity, presented by Currency.
Club in La Vista is the perfect place to go for lunch every day. Dine in at the club and get our express lunch special for just $10. It's the all-beef Hail Varsity burger, fries, and a fountain drink delivered to your table in under 15 minutes. Hail Varsity Club in La Vista for lunch every day. And the perfect spot to watch all the big games. Reserve your table today and check out the events we've got coming up at hailvarsityclub.com. In La Vista, right next to Cabela's. Hail Varsity Club.
Hail Varsity is a must-have for true Husker fans. Get a monthly magazine that'll make checking the mail fun again. Daily analysis, the breaking news, including the inside scoop on recruiting on hailvarsity.com. And every June, that's right, every June, you'll get the Nebraska Football Yearbook, a season preview completely dedicated to Nebraska football. That's as comprehensive as national previews. Remember, get to hailvarsity.com.
This is KFOR's Kathy Blythe inviting you to join Legacy's John Kopetsky and me Saturday mornings for the Aging Adventure, brought to you by Legacy Retirement Communities. Lifestyle and health topics plus fascinating people. The Aging Adventure, 8 a.m. Saturdays on KFOR.
Keep your AC running at peak performance by getting it inspected now before the summer heat arrives. You'll stay cool and keep your energy costs low. Find more energy-saving tips at les.com/saveenergy.
Want to kick back with your favourite British TV? Escape with Britain's best series, only on BritBox. Don't miss new and exclusive releases, including BritBox original drama Stonehouse, starring Succession's Matthew McFadden.
It's Stonehouse, John Stonehouse.
Follow the unbelievable true story of the British politician who faked his own death.
I deny those allegations in the strongest possible terms.
Succession's Matthew McFadden stars in BritBox's new original drama, Stonehouse. Stream this and more at BritBox.com.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections.
All-State, 2-year starter, and rush in for the Big Red and NFL vet.
Is Dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
It's Blackshirt Jay Moore with Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency, part of our Blackshirt Hour. We welcome in Jay Moore, Big Red Wrap-Up co-host, Blackshirt Husker NFLer. Find him on Twitter at JMoore44. Jay, spring game week is here. The other news of the day is the Herbie Husker unveil. I loved the video. True or false, as we get into the old hot seat questionnaire, do you own overalls? If so, do you wear them on weekends?
I could honestly say I've never owned a pair of overalls before.
Really?
Not in the closet anywhere. I don't even no, I just don't. I'm not a hunter. I used to I've done a little bit of pheasant hunting, but we do it early enough in the year where it's still pretty nice out in October. But I just never had it to where you're sitting in a deer stand or something where you need to be insulated, and I hate the cold. So if I don't really have to be in it, I don't want to be in it. I refuse to go on vacation anywhere where it's cold. I don't ski. I'm only going somewhere where it's sunny and there's green grass and a golf course.
Elijah, overalls?
I don't own any, but I'm not to Jay's level where I avoid the cold weather completely. I just
will borrow some coveralls if need be.
I think there's more fashionable choices out there if you were to be going to cold weather or working out in the farm or whatever than wearing overalls, in my humble opinion.
There was Dad back in the day had overalls he had to throw on to do his chores in the morning. In the early 90s, some of us really embraced the hip hop look where overalls
like the one strap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wore those once, threatened to be beat up and never wore them again. So it was a Christmas gift gone awry. Why don't you wear them anymore? Gee, Mom, I don't want two black eyes. So, I one and done. They were even a guest pair, Jaybird.
What was this? A peer that threatened to beat you up? Was this your
lunchroom dude?
I was wondering if it was like a family member. But...
No. I'm sure it was
rules. That's
I'm sure it was under my father's breath. What are you doing wearing those? You've not worked a day in your life. You're soft. No, it's all right. But it is spring game week, and Jay, some things you want to see. I know you'll be talking about it on Big Red Ramp Up in the coming weeks. And what's piqued your interest heading in?
I think that just see how the offensive defense looks. We kind of know what a 3-3-5 is. We've seen it run, with TCU's success here this past year. They ran a 3-3-5, so you kind of know what that looks like, but what's it going to look like under Nebraska and Tony White, and who's going to be playing certain positions, and obviously seeing what the offense is going to look like. We've heard a lot of stuff. They're going to huddle. They're going to use a fullback. What's the QB situation? Is Harburg kind of got himself up there in the discussion to push, Casey Thompson and Sims for the fall job, or is it this, it's those two those two I just mentioned. So just want to see what everything looks like, just see how they are, see how the flow of the game is, see how. It's really going to be interesting to see with only 12 offensive linemen that are serviceable. I mean, that's going to be – there's some issues right there. You don't want to get your guys who you're going to have to play in the fall. You want to get them some reps, but also you don't want to, extend them for any certain reason and injure, have something happen to them. We've already been banged up enough. So that whole issue is going to be really interesting to me, just to see how they're able to organize a full game, a 4-quarter game with only 12 offensive players. You got 2 different teams, so that's 6 on each side. There's 5 offensive linemen you need to have every play. So that will be super interesting to me to see how they kind of handle that scenario with only X amount of, those so few of offensive linemen.
Well, with 12 offensive linemen, Jay, do you think it's even possible with their conditioning? I know we haven't heard anything about how many times they've thrown up this spring, so we assume the conditioning is probably a little bit better. It could be possible.
Yeah. Who knows? That's. I think they're going to be just fine. I don't think you're seeing anyone thrown up, that's for sure. But I think they're going to have to be careful with how they do this. I don't know if it's going to be a normal. I know in some spring games in past, it's a normal first 2 quarters. In the second half, it's a running clock type of situation. So, or they're going to shorten the quarters. I don't know what it's going to have to be different. You want to get your reps in. You want to, and maybe that's what they do. They know that we're going to get so many reps in per players or so many plays in, and then if we get to 100 plays both sides, then boom, we're good. We're calling it, or because you don't want to get anyone hurt. I mean, I know this is still a practice, and you're still trying to get some work, and you're still trying to continue to get better. You're trying to identify guys who can play and who can contribute next fall, but also you want to have guys fully healthy and ready to go into summer conditioning to get ready for the fall too, and you don't want to push them. You don't want to push the limit too hard with so few bodies.
Jay Moore is with us. It's Hail Varsity Radio. A guy that's reported to have had a good Saturday scrimmage, and was one of the people that came up afterwards was Stephon Wynn. I know we've talked about Wynn a handful of times, the transfer from Alabama, and just looking at his path here in Lincoln. Guy who came in a little bit later last summer, saw some time, but it sounds like he and pot roast coach Knighton are hitting it off. I think just based on some of the video feed we saw, some nice work on the interior pressure wise. And he's a guy that's still trying to get down maybe about 7 to 10 pounds to be at his ideal playing weight. But Jay, he's a name we've talked about a lot because there's so much upside and ability. He's going to be leaned on this year with this 3.35. He's a guy that, has some untapped potential.
Yeah, he did. He got in there a little late last year and was probably a little out of shape. And just it's tough for transfers just in general, especially if you're not able to come, during spring and acclimate yourself to the systems and the programs and just to get yourself, to where you need to be to be in shape for fall. And I know he got there a little late and was going maybe a week or two of a fall camp in there. We saw some flashes of things that I liked last year. Consistency was an issue, but you show up 2 weeks before or whatever it was, and it's hard to really acclimate yourself fast enough to get ready to play every down. So I don't fault him for that, but I'm happy. I'm glad to hear. Obviously, he's going to be more comfortable. New staff, a new voice. I think Mike Dawson was a really, really good defensive line coach from the previous season. But sometimes you get a new voice and just phrasing things differently, talking about them differently, different techniques, different thoughts, different ideas, different systems sometimes can help give guys more energy and really cater to what they're able to do. And I think that's kind of an interesting, a thing you've heard in the past, like the last 3 or 4 months, even through spring ball. I think the staff is trying to put these guys in the best positions to utilize their strengths. They're not saying, hey, you have to do this. You have to play it this way, or you have to play it that way. Or I think they're trying to find what works best for everyone. That's why I think you've seen guys switch positions, like AJ Rollins switching from tight end to defensive end, because they're like, maybe that suits them better. I don't think they're looking, I feel like staff in the past are trying to be too, round hole, square block type of situation, and they try to force it. And I think this staff's like, all right, let's see what we have, and let's see what guys can do, and let's put them in the best position to win and be as good as they can be. And if we have to adjust a little bit, let's do that and make some changes in our end and be a little more flexible. It's hard for coaches. There's coaches are stubborn as well, and they have a certain way they like to do things, but sometimes the best ones are able to tweak things here and there and be flexible in how they do it. And maybe that's what's helped win out in this situation. And they figured out, okay, he does this well. He plays the 3 technique better than he plays a shade. So let's not put him over the center. Let's put him over a guard or a tackle. He's better on the edges. Let's not put him over the center. Let's just because we think we need a body there. Let's not put someone there just to make sure he can do it, or just to make us feel better. Let's put him in the best situation possible so that he's good, and then he's gonna make our defense better. So I think just having the flexibility from everyone, I think is something that has been kind of a breath of fresh air with his staff so far through a month of spring ball.
Jay, while we're talking defensive line here, a couple of incoming freshmen apparently have had some pretty good springs. Princewell's one of them. Cam Linhart's another guy. They've occasionally even spent some time running with the ones. And I want to get your thoughts on just, what it would mean for the Huskers if they were able to get some contributions from some freshmen on that defensive line this season. And obviously there's some guys that are going to come back from injury and are going to change the picture there. But I also want to get your take on what the best way to get defensive linemen ready for college in that first year. Is it a redshirt year? Is it spot snaps? Is it, 3-4 games and preserve that redshirt? What do you think the best way to get those guys ready for college football is?
Yeah, I don't think there's a perfect playbook on any of that. I think it just kind of depends on how that player is coming into college. I was very raw. I needed a year. I needed 2 years just to kind of develop. I never put my hand in the dirt, and I needed to develop better techniques and get stronger and do all those things. Some guys, if they come from really, really successful high school programs and they have the size and the technique and the strength to do it, great, you can do it. It's rare. It's very, very rare for a defensive lineman or offensive lineman to play as a freshman, just because guys are bigger, guys are stronger, guys are smarter, and you have to play with really, really good technique to be successful at any level of football, but especially in the Big Ten. So I think if they're able to come in and they've been taught really, really well, they have the right pad levels and hand placements and techniques, and they don't get overwhelmed with too much of the schematics of a defense or an offense. That's awesome. And if you can put them in here and you can get them some looks against the one offense or the two offense as a true freshman, and they're able to hold their own, that's great, because that just provides a little more depth. And a lot of times that's just it's something extra. These guys come in. I mean, I'd like to think a lot of these coaches, when they bring in true freshmen, you probably aren't relying on too many defensive linemen to play as a true freshman. But if you can, man, that's a really great scenario, because you can't have enough depth at the defensive line position. I'm guessing they would like to have 9 guys that are able to play those front 3 spots, or 12 guys. I don't know what they have now. I haven't heard much what they think they have so far, and that's why it would be cool to see on Saturday. But developing that depth is something that is nice to have in your back pocket as a defensive line coach and as a D coordinator as well.
Good stuff from Jay Moore. More with Blackshirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore as we continue on this Blackshirt Hour 2. Jay Moore continues. It's Hail Varsity. We're presented by Currency.
Stay connected and stay safe. From the Boom Boom Pow with the experienced weather team at KFOR.
Things are changing in Lincoln, and for the worse. Murders doubled in just a year. Carjackings up 40%. Rising violent crime and higher taxes are making Lincoln less safe and affordable. Mayor Leary and Gaylor Baird let us down. We need a change. Suzanne Geist is the change we need. Suzanne Geist has a proven record of cutting taxes, supporting our police, and fighting crime.
I'm Suzanne Geist. I'm proud to call Lincoln home. It's where my husband and I built a life, raised a family, and now our children are doing the same. As mayor, I'll work day and night to reduce taxes and fight crime. I did it as senator. I'll do it as mayor. Together, we can make Lincoln better, safer, and more affordable for everyone.
A better, safer, more affordable Lincoln. Vote Suzanne Geist for mayor. Paid for by Suzanne Geist for mayor.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
If you watch home remodeling shows, there's always a surprise that requires extra money or prevents customers from getting all they wanted. At Reynolds Design and Remodeling, surprises are extremely rare.
Our experienced electricians, plumbers, and carpenters are good at knowing what's behind the walls before work begins. I'm Pam Magner, General Manager. If we encounter a surprise, we eat the extra cost nearly every time.
The surprise of no surprises. Choose wisely. Get started at ReynoldsDesignRemodel.com.
Hello, neighbor, from Super C Convenience Stores, your get up and get going store. Start your day with a Rockstar or Monster energy drink. Or if you're more of a coffee or soda person, Super C invites you to start something big with a cup of Township 9 coffee. Remember to ask for a Super C punch card. Buy 5 coffees or fountain drinks and get the next one free. Also, get your ride cleaned up at any one of our 3 soft touch car washes. Whatever gets you going, get it at Super C, now with 11 locations, where they're always happy to see you.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home. For all the music.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Few minutes here. Jay Moore with us, Hail Varsity Radio at Jay Moore 44. Catch him and Big Red wrap up as they recap the spring game. Jay, I want to talk about physicality. I know it's a buzzword. It's a word near and dear to Nebraska fans because that's how the team won for a lot of years. And at what point do you think Nebraska lost its edge in physicality? Do you think it was post-Bo? Do you think it was more of the transition to the Big Ten? Did you guys, third part to this, you guys still seem to be able to wear out teams from Solich to even Callahan. It wasn't a physicality thing on the line per se that was an issue. So do you think Nebraska's, to your eyes, gonna get back to that? They need to, and that seems to be a staple for Rule.
Yeah, it does, and he's hit the nail on the head, talking about, in the fourth quarter, you got to be able to run the football. We need to run it for 75 yards in the fourth quarter, and that is music to my ears. That's music to a lot of our fan base's ears. You got to be able to control the clock. When you get in that 4-minute drill situation and you have the lead, you got to be able to keep that football in your hands and just drain that clock and get a couple first downs. Happened so many in the last 4 or 5 years where we'd be in that situation where we'd have the lead and we're not able to get a first down, and boom, you get the defense back on the field, and that the opposing team drives down for a winning field goal or somehow gets a touchdown. You're up by 5 points. I mean, I can remember it a handful of times, it seems like. So, it's just physicality is because anyone can do it, and it's early in the game, right? I think it's just being able to continue in that path in the third and fourth quarter, and it's having the idea, how you want to attack an offense or a defense. As do you want to run the football? Absolutely. As a defense, do you want to continue to blitz and stop the run? Yes. Let's continue to do that. So I think you just want to create that mindset too with your players. They get in this situation. It's not, hey, we're still in attacking mode. Let's establish the line of scrimmage. Let's play on their side of the line of scrimmage. If you're a defensive lineman, hey, let's play on their side of the line of scrimmage. If you're a defensive lineman, and vice versa. So it's just having that mentality and that mindset. And you still have to develop it as well. It just doesn't come natural. You got to develop in practice, and you got to develop early on in the season. And you got to commit to it, and you have to really just create confidence in knowing that you're a physical player, you're a physical football team, and you're going to win football games physically as well. So I have no doubt that's going to be right now the issue until you see something different, come September, October. But you have to be able to be a physical football team in the Big Ten. This is a very, very physical conference. You rarely can out-scheme, out-athlete a lot of teams. You just got to go right at them. And I don't think, I think both teams are really physical. Obviously, you had issues against Wisconsin. Those are physical football teams. Only able to beat them one time. Those teams know who they are. They had that mentality of being physical and being able to run the football in the fourth quarter to seal up those games. Coach Riley, early on, the defenses were pretty physical. You had Malik Collins and Vincent Valentine, and those guys are really, really good. Kind of latter half of there, not so much. And then I don't know, his offenses seemed they could be physical at times, but they had a little too much finesse for my liking defensively. I think Chin's had some things going there, but obviously things started falling apart, and at the beginning of last year as well. So I don't know exactly where it got fuzzy and it changed, but physical football to me is just still being able to impose your will on that opponent from the first play to the last play. I know everybody's physical, everyone's fast, everyone's healthy and in shape in that first play, but how are you on play 65 to play 90? Can you still have that same mentality and have that same aggressiveness and play with great technique and have being in shape enough to do that? So I'd like to think that's where they're going, but it's not going to be easy, and I still needs to be validated, right? You can talk it all you want, but it still needs to be validated with this staff.
Jay, in your opinion, what position group needs to set the tone for physicality for Nebraska? Not even this season, but moving forward. Because you look around the country and different schools do it in different ways. You think of Wisconsin, you think of that physical offensive line setting the tone. At Georgia, it's that physical defensive line setting the tone. Alabama, I think of the running backs. And obviously you need physicality all over the field. But where do you think a Nebraska football team should be setting the tone physically?
Yeah, it's up front. It's on the offensive line and defensive line. You look – all the success we had here in, the 80s and 90s are the pipeline, right? You look at all those great offensive linemen we had come through here and in that history and how, Coach Tenneper and Coach Young developed all those players. And it was, you had to learn you were developed. Rarely did you come in here and play as a freshman or a sophomore. You really didn't see time until your junior or senior year. And they were crazy physical. Defensive line, they had great defensive lines back in those days too, with Jared Thomas, Grant Wistrom, Jason Peter. You just go down the line of all the great defensive linemen that have come through as well. Kyle Vandenbosch, Chris Kelsey, Chad Kelsey. I could spend all day going through all the defensive linemen and what they're able to do. Terry Keneally, just all those great players. It starts up front, but the best thing about it is if you have a really good offensive line, physical offensive line, your defense is going to be pretty physical as well because they're getting their heads beat in by them every day as well, and they're at competition. So it's usually vice versa. So I love the fact that you got to be physical. You got to be physical up front on both sides, and that's where it starts. If you can be really good up front on both sides, the rest will kind of take care of itself.
Jay Moore is with us, Hail Varsity Radio at JMoore44 on Twitter, Blackshirt Husker, NFLer. All right, the red or the white. I'm not asking about clam chowder. Give me a score and give me a prediction for Saturday.
Oh my gosh, I don't even.
You don't even know who the teams are.
Just say fun. Nebraska.
Yeah, I'll go red. Yep. Is there a point spread yet? Is there a line?
You said it, Jay. We'll run with it.
Let's go red. 24, white, 17.
Okay, 24-17, a classic Big Ten score. I don't know this, but we'll say the red is the number one offense. We'll say the white's the number one defense because that's kind of the plan is I think to have ones go ones, just assuming that doesn't change from when we're talking to when we hear from Rule this week ahead of the spring game. So should be pretty good, man. So
yeah, looking forward to it. Just kind of see him. I hadn't had a chance to get down there and watch him in practice, but I'm kind of ready to see what the early look at the product's going to be and see if that's going to be what we see come this fall as well.
Jay, should the winning team be getting steaks and the losing team getting hot dogs as at old times?
Here's what I want. I want everyone to come out healthy.
Okay.
I don't need no injuries. That's what I want.
Political answer.
That's the biggest thing. We don't need anyone getting hurt. We don't need any season injuries, surgeries, whatever it is. We need all able and willing bodies to be ready to go, once they start fall practice in probably late July to get ready for Minnesota.
Good enough. Bird will get caught up again soon. Thanks for a few minutes.
Yeah, you bet.
Gotta love Jay Moore, his take on things, and a Blackshirt second hour on a Monday. Love that. Coach McBride, Jay Moore. Reminder to you, it is a road show full of Hail Varsity this week. Single Barrel Thursday to get your weekend started off right. 9th and P inside the Graduate. Come see us Thursday, 4 to 6. Hail Varsity Club Friday in La Vista, 4 to 6. Ahead of the Pipeline event, 11 to 1 in the Single Barrel on Spring Game Saturday.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Natalia, solid dismount, but that little pause is a deduction.
Top tumblers hope to stick the landing with Coach Jasmine.
That aerial sequence still needs work.
She needs more certified athletic trainers to find her balance.
Focus. I'm going to need you for the all-around. Wait, who's spotting the vault?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Todd Spidell, body shop owner, prospective employer.
You know, I found that one of the best ways to find employees is not by putting an ad in the paper or just asking friends, but actually waiting outside your competitors' places. So today I'm sitting outside and waiting for the guys to get off work so I can ask any of them if they're maybe not happy at work and looking for another job. So maybe you guys could save me a lot of trouble. If you know anybody that's a good, quality-oriented body man and they're looking for a job, have them come out to our North 48th Street location just north of Cornhusker Highway and ask for me, Todd. Spidell Body Works has a competitive pay plan, great benefits, including vacation, insurance, retirement plan, and you couldn't work for a better boss. So, oh, hey, here they come now. Hey, hey you.
Oh, God, he's following us.
Where are you going? Hey, wait, come back. Here, I got to get going after. Oh, well, back to Spidell's.
Apply today at Spidell Body Works, 4020 North 48th Street, just north of 48th and Cornhusker.
KFOR.
Apply today at Spidell Body Works, 4020.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, podcast available for you. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Get it downloaded, tell a friend. It doesn't cost you nothing. Appreciate you doing so. The full show or segments you want to hear. You want to hear Jay Moore, Coach Jeff Smith, Charlie McBride. All those interviews will be posted. The full show as well, the video as well, Hail Varsity YouTube channel. And can catch the show on the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter handle at HVarsity Radio. So let's clean up some questions in the stream. Will asking, how's the weather going to be on Saturday? Well, it's going to be partly cloudy and 52. It's the best I can do for you. Don't know if there's any rain in the forecast, but it's going to feel fall-like, appropriately so, since they're supposed to be hitting and a real game. Brian is worried about the O-lineman. 12 Hope they're searching for some portal depth. Visit Wyoming. Brian, there's a large concern about the number of linemen there. I like Matthew's comment because we started off talking about the new Herbie, or the throwback tribute to the old Herbie with the overalls. And Matthew's like, look, most men you see that go blue jean overalls never go back to any other type of pants again. Prove me wrong. I think of the late, great Uncle Jesse, Dukes of Hazzard.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Jesse was always rocking overalls.
And I think one of the big things with overalls that I do envy is all that pocket space he got in the front. You got a lot of room to carry around whatever you need in the front pocket of those overalls. I do respect that. I will still say, not for me.
You had two giant back pockets to put your work gloves.
Yep.
Right. And they just kept it going. Nick's like blue jean overall guys are still, I should say, are on the brink of extinction.
And my biggest problem is like,
I don't know about the mentality or the overall guy type is not.
No,
on extinction.
I just feel like a
them,
poser.
maybe.
I feel like a poser whenever I'm wearing.
Oh, I have never moved a hay bale in my life.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So I'm not going to talk smack about someone who wears overalls. Absolutely not.
Like the style's not for me whenever you feel like a poser. Like I'm not. Whenever we were talking earlier, I'm not bemoaning the overall style. I think it's very Midwestern. I think it's great. I think it fits a lot of people very well. It's not me.
Shows you're a worker.
Sure. Well, I mean,
it does because you're out in the elements all day, man.
I'll just say a grinder.
Sure.
Worker's not a strong enough term for me. Like that's a grinding individual. They will take whatever it needs to get the job done. That's what I respect about overall guys.
Right. Absolutely. And they, again, this is not a negative stereotype. They probably have a 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
They love the outdoors.
I bet they can cook a mean brisket.
I think they can cook something great over an open fire.
Yes.
No, it's all good. It's a mentality.
Oh,
again, we have hardworking Herbie, grinding Herbie versus, nightclub butterfly collar Herbie, Abercrombie and Fitch Herbie.
Herbie, that his pants are at risk of falling down.
I thought his pants were okay.
But the overalls really, they guarantee
coverage.
Yes.
They guarantee coverage. Work gloves in the back, flask in the front. It's a win. And it's probably homemade brew, which is good. Back at 4 tomorrow. We'll check in with Jabba Chamberlain, Mitch Sherman tomorrow.